Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has hinted out that Mason Greenwood could start on Sunday in the game against West Ham. We do know that Mason Greenwood scored his first official senior goal for the club in Thursday night's win over FC Astana, of course, in the Europa League. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did give his overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and he did actually say it's impossible, to leave him out of the Manchester United team, if he does keep scoring. So if Mason Greenwood, is to keep the consistency up, he will get, more minutes under his belt, and he will get more opportunities in the Premier League, because obviously we do know he's not yet started the game from the start in the Premier League. So far this season in the Premier League, he has made 4 substitute appearances, but I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He has got a lot of trust with his young players, so I will, credit him in that aspect. So I think Mason Greenwood, could be starting the game on Sunday in that. So if he is to start on Sunday, that will be his, that will be his first appearance, from the start in the Premier League and that. But I thought it was very, very impressive on Thursday evening. He took his goal, really, really well in that. And he's only 17 years of age, Mason Greenwood, and obviously, he is demanding more playing time. And I thought he was very, very good as well, throughout pre-season. Mason Greenwood, did really, really well last season. For the reserves, he scored 30 goals in 29 games. But yeah, I think he should start on Sunday. Should Mason Greenwood. But obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tomorrow is obviously going to make alterations in the squad, from obviously the 1-0 victory over FC Astana. Yes, I think Mason Greenwood, could start on Sunday. Obviously, we have got quite a few injuries, as you all know. There is a possibility chance that Daniel James, could be involved in the game against West Ham. Obviously, we do know that he missed the FC Astana game due to, I think, was it a knock injury he had sustained over the 1-0 victory over Leicester. It did say there could be doubts, for Sunday. He might miss Sunday's game as well against West Ham, but it's not assured that he will miss the game. But we're not too sure yet, to be quite honest with you. But analysing it so far, I think Daniel James has enjoyed a very good start to his Man United career. He has scored 3 goals so far this season. He's been very, very impressive. So obviously in that aspect, he's joint top goal scorer alongside Marcus Rashford. But Daniel James is a recent absentee. He had sustained a knock injury. We do know he's supposed to be more effective on that left-hand side, but we do know he can also play out on the right. But he is only 21 years of age. And I did say, Daniel James taking a huge step in his career, coming all the way from the Championship, to the Premier League. And so far this season, Daniel James is replicating, what he did last season with Swansea, because, he only made... He only made his senior debut, back in February 2018, so possibly could be involved tomorrow. We do know that it's definitely assured that Pogba, Anthony Martial, and Luke Shaw, will be missing, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did confirm in his press conference, building up to the game. We do know that Paul Pogba's missed the last 2 games with an ankle injury. We do know that Martial, I think, has missed... I think he's missed the last 3 games, with thigh injuries, Anthony Martial. And Luke Shaw has also, missed the last 3 games with a hamstring injury. Luke Shaw, will not be fit for the game on Sunday. I think Luke Shaw, could be available for the game against Arsenal at the end of the month. And Pogba and Martial, should either be back, for the game against Rochdale, or, the game against Arsenal as well at the end of the month. But I think, in that particular game against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup, obviously there's another opportunity there, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to go more with the youth. But yeah, we have got quite a few injuries in the squad. It confirmed before the FC Astana game that, Daniel James, Pogba, Martial and Luke Shaw, obviously, were all, absent from training and that. But like I did say, yeah, we have got quite a few injuries in the squad. We do know recently that we do know recently, that Diego Dalot, has just come back from injury, because he'd recently, been out with a groin problem, but he did play in the game against FC Astana. Obviously, we do know Jesse Lingard has recently, just recovered from illness. But tomorrow, Solskjaer, will obviously, play Wan-Bissaka at right back. He'll obviously play Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. Obviously, all of them, rested for the game against FC Astana. But it was good that, he did rest, quite a few, key players, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But we are aware of how much of a difficult game, this is going to be tomorrow against West Ham, because West Ham have enjoyed a pretty decent start to this season. Don't forget, they are unbeaten in their last 5 games in all competitions. So West Ham are actually unbeaten, since the opening day of the season. I think they have registered, this season so far 8 points from a possible 15. So we are aware of how much of a difficult game it's going to be. I think, that West Ham have got quite a few injuries. I think they've got Winston Reid out with injury. They've got Mikel Antonio out with injury until January. Obviously, they've got Arthur Masaku suspended. But so it is actually going to be a tough game. Don't forget, we lost this fixture last season at London Stadium, by 3 goals to 1. Obviously, that was back under Jose Mourinho, and obviously that was the turning point in Jose Mourinho's tenure, when we did lose when we lost to West Ham 3-1 last season. West Ham have actually won 2 of their last 4 Premier League games against us, don't forget. But actually, look, we've actually scored more Premier League goals against West Ham than any other side has in the competition. We've only lost twice in our last 21 Premier League meetings with West Ham, so obviously that just emphasises, that that just emphasises, that we do have a good winning record over West Ham usually. And, actually, Rashford has actually been involved, he's been directly involved in 4 goals in 351 minutes of Premier League action against West Ham. But we did beat them at Old Trafford last season by 2 goals to 1. But this is a game anyway, Manchester United have got to win. Obviously, we've won our last 2 games on the trot in all competitions. And so obviously, we do have to keep this, good run of form, because I did say, we need to go on a winning streak. If we do want to keep want to keep our hopes up, for that top 4 this season, because I did initially say at the start of the season our expectations, will be to finish in that top 4, and obviously, or maybe perhaps win some silverware. Don't forget. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations, if he is to remain in the job at Manchester United. But analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't good enough to win the league. We know that, but I think it's, definitely good enough, for a top 4 finish in that. But I did say I'm hopeful that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure can become successful at Manchester United, because like I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. And obviously, he's our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. And we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers, despite the fact that 3 managers have already been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. We're not really known for a sacking club, to be quite honest with you. But like I did say, we have got big ambitions for the future. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to get Manchester United, back to winning silverware. And, this is something he wants to bring back to the football club. He wants to bring that fear factor back to the football club. He wants to bring that winning mentality, back to the football club. And we know that it hasn't, been there since the Alex Ferguson era. But for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does need more time, to make further more investment in the squad, because don't forget, this has only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United. So you can still quite say, he's in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect, that he did recommend, 3 good players into the football club, throughout the course of the summer. We spent over £140 million, on Daniel James, Harry Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings, they've proven to be so far for Man United. So I'm happy in the aspect, that we did address, some of the problematic areas. We got that experienced centre half in. We also got that right back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But I did say, it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas, in one summer transfer window. But like I did say, in January or next summer, we've got to try and recommend at least one midfielder in, because that midfield is one of the priority areas where Manchester United need to strengthen up. Also, don't forget, for the majority of the summer, was in search of a right winner. But like I did say, most of the blame stems from the board, because they didn't recommend, any sufficient midfielders in, or any attackers in and that. But definitely, still further more investment is needed in the squad. Sorry, I just got a cough. Further more investment is needed in the squad and that. But yeah, we haven't had a great start to this season. We've only won 2 games in the league so far this season and that. But these still basically, a long way to go. But despite, our stuttering start to the season, I still think there's players that, have played really, really well this season. Like I said, I think Daniel James has been fantastic. I think Wan-Bissaka's been fantastic. I think Wan-Bissaka, has been my most consistent signing so far. Well, a vast majority of people believe that Wan-Bissaka, has been my most consistent signing so far. His distribution's good. He shows that ability to power from the back. And if Wan-Bissaka, is to keep his consistency up, his valuation, will persistently, grow, as we all know. We did pay around £50 million for him, and I think Harry Maguire's been absolutely fantastic so far. I think Lindelof and him have blended in that backline, together, really, really well in that. And, we did pay, £80 million for Harry Maguire, and that obviously we do know he's the most expensive defender in the world, but he's been absolutely fantastic so far. So I think he's settled in, quite well as a Manchester United player. I think Martial's done well this season, obviously, before he sustained that thigh injury. And I did say, if Martial is to keep the consistency up and he can avoid sustaining any more injuries, I think he can score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season. Anthony Martial, he's been fantastic this season. He's now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, and Martial has scored 50 goals for the football club, since his arrival from Monaco back in 2015. And Martial has been here since the Louis van Gaal era, but he is only 23 years of age. Don't forget the club gave him a 5-year deal back in January, as it got confirmed at the start of the season. Martial has been given that number 9, so obviously he is playing more centrally this season, and they are in that aspect. They are compatible, Rashford and Martial, because they can play in the same positions. Martial can play centrally, can play out wide. Rashford can play centrally, can play out wide. But for me, Martial's more of the standout player centrally, than Marcus Rashford. Than Marcus Rashford and all that. But yeah, Martial's been superb this season, obviously, before he had sustained that injury. Rashford, I don't think he's performed to the same sort of level, as how Martial has, so far this season. Rashford has done okay in patches. I still think, there is, improvements, needed in Marcus Rashford's game. He is only 21 years of age, and he has still got a lot of years ahead of him as Marcus Rashford. But like I did say, Rashford's done okay here and there. He hasn't performed to the same sort of extent as how Martial's performed, Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course Harry Maguire. But he's done okay in patches as Marcus Rashford, and I think for the majority of this season, he probably will be playing him out on the flank. Obviously, when Martial is fully fit. But we do know, in the last couple of games, before the FC Astana game, Rashford was obviously, full in Anthony Martial's role in that central position. But Rashford, hasn't been the best so far this season, despite the fact that he has scored 3 goals so far this season. My overarching view on Paul Pogba is, he hasn't been fantastic this season. I think he's done okay in parts. Like I said, he hasn't performed great so far this season. But it's good that we know anyway that that Paul Pogba is staying at the football club at least until January and that. So I am very, very happy about that. So these players that perform well, I think McTominay has done really, really well for Manchester United as well. No, I know he didn't play against FC Astana, but obviously in the games he has played in this season, I think he's done really, really well. Like I do keep saying, if in regards to McTominay being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got an element of concerns about that. But I think so far this season, McTominay has been absolutely fantastic for Manchester United. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he's still only very, very young, is McTominay. But I think he should be playing on Sunday. Should Scott McTominay. But I have been very, very impressed with him, because he has been playing between the lines well. He's been defending and that really, really well. And mainly so far this season, he has been playing alongside Paul Pogba. So these players that have played well, so far this season. Obviously, the West Ham game is match day 6. Obviously, it's our 7th game in all competitions. So far this season, we have won 3 games in all competitions. And that obviously we've won 2 in the league. Obviously, beat FC Astana in the Europa League. But we are aware, that AZ Alkmaar and Partizan Belgrade are going to be much more tougher tests than FC Astana. So we do need to be aware of that. But like I did say, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve Manchester United and that. Like I did say, Mason Greenwood, he's been assured more first team opportunities this season. In regards to Chong, obviously, he, made his first start from the start against FC Mestania. Solskjaer did say the same thing in regards to Chong of what he said about Mason Greenwood. Chong is assured more first team opportunities this season. He did actually say the other week that Chong was in negotiations with the football club over a new contract. Don't forget, Chong was subjected to transfer speculation earlier on this summer. Don't forget PSV were in for him. Also, his former club Feyenoord, inquired about getting him. Chon now, I think overall he's into his 4th season as a Manchester United player, but he's only 19 years of age. Only made his full debut last season. Don't forget. But Solskjaer said he needs to work hard, to gain more first team opportunities. Angel Gomez, don't forget, I think he made his first start of the season, in the game against FC Mestania. It didn't actually say anywhere that Angel Gomez is going to be a big part of the squad this season. Despite the fact, that, Ander Herrera and Marian Fellaini left the football club, we have still got quite a few midfielders in the team. But yeah, Angel Gomez, he's going to be a big part of the squad. Obviously, Alex Tuanzebe as well. He made his first start, against FC Astana. Alex Tuanzebe, it didn't initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, despite the fact that Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre backs. I still believe that Alex Tuanzebe, will get given his opportunities. Good to see Diego Dalot make his first start this season as well, against FC Astana. Dalot's only been at the football club, don't forget, since last summer. But it's good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players. Very, very happy about that. Very, very happy about that. That has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players in that. But as we all know, definitely further more investment is needed in the squad. And I do believe at the start of the season that the board assured that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be back in the next couple of windows, because I think the board realised that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough throughout the course of the summer. Yeah, but for me, it does need a couple of more windows, to make further more investment. So, regardless of what happens this season, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe for at least this season. And I hope his tenure at Manchester United works out, like I do keep saying, because he's a club legend. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He did flourish under Alex Ferguson's guidance. And I did say, I hope this team at this day and age, can replicate, what the team did, under Alex Ferguson. But I did say, regardless of our managers, we're never going to replicate what we did under Ferguson. No one's going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy in that. But yeah, for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just needs more time. Due to our bad results and performances and that, some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Also, some of the blame, does stem from the team. Some of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, tactics in that are questionable, as people were actually saying towards the back end of last season. But we just want to be back, to being a competitive elite level football club. And I did say, reflecting on the amount of money that's been spent at the football club in the last 6 or 7 years, also, with the dimension and the history of this football club and that, we should be much more of a commanding position, than we're in now. But for me, definitely needs more time to make further more investment. We all know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does want to continue the policy of signing, young British players, because Solskjaer that was his favourite earlier on in the summer. He wanted to recommend a number of young players to the football club, and he still wants to continue that policy and that. And reportedly, we have targeted 5 British players for next summer, according to recent reports. So obviously, reportedly, we've got Jadon Sancho and James Maddison as our number one priority targets, for next summer. We are all aware that Jadon Sancho and James Maddison are going to cost us a substantial amount. Probably Jadon Sancho is going to cost us in the excess of around £100 million. James Maddison is going to probably cost us up to around 70 or 80 million pounds. That's around 170 or 180 million pounds there on 2 players. But don't forget, we have got the financial power to meet that valuation, because we are known for spending big on on players. We're also known for overpaying for players, like we've recently done. We did overpay for Harry Maguire, I do believe. We did overpay for him, but I did say, in these markets of this day and age, you have got to overpay for players and that. And we're a massive club and we've got massive revenues, so we can overpay for players and that. But when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. So in that aspect, that's bad business from the football club. And there has been prime examples of that. This summer, we did it with Darmian. We did it with Ander Herrera. We let Ander Herrera's contract run down. We let him go on a free transfer. Which was very very disappointing. So we've done it quite a few times, throughout the course of this summer. But like I said, I would love, James Maddison at Manchester United, and I think probably the club, seeing him as an adequate replacement for, Paul Pogba, to be quite honest with you, despite the fact that Paul Pogba, remained at the club this summer. I still believe, he wants to go in January or next summer and that. So I think James Maddison, would be a good adequate replacement for him. Don't forget, James Maddison is predominantly an attacking midfielder. He can also be used on the left-hand side. And actually, Brendan Rodgers has put him on that left-hand side quite a few times. And, James Maddison is flourishing under Brendan Rodgers' guidance. Don't forget, this is only James Maddison's second season with Leicester. Obviously, last season was his debut season in the Premier League, and I think last season he was involved in 14 goals. I think he created more chances than any other player in the Premier League, last season. I think he created around 100 chances last season, did James Maddison. He has still got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester, and Leicester did pay around £20 million for him from Norwich last summer, because he did serve a good couple of years in the Championship. I do also believe that teams were tracking him, when he was a youngster at Coventry, because he was a product of Coventry's academy. But reportedly it says Man United had been in for James Maddison since June, but reflecting throughout the course of summer, we was only tentatively linked to him. So what I mean in that aspect is, he wasn't one of our main priority targets in that. But yeah, reportedly we could go in for him in January, or we could leave it until next summer. But Leicester, of course, are going to demand a similar fee, to what they did do for Harry Maguire if they are to let James Maddison go, and obviously if they are to soften their stance regarding the player. But I think he'd had depth in our midfield, he'd had more creativeness in our midfield, so I think he would be the right caliber, I think he'd be the right caliber player for Man United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. And if in regards to Jadon Sancho as well, don't forget, who is in for him earlier on in the summer. We actually identified Jadon Sancho as our number one priority target, back in January. But obviously, we failed to get Jadon Sancho, obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. And I did initially say, with our, I think in that aspect, it went against us, our failing to qualify for the Champions League, of getting all the players, that we did want to recommend in, because I did say a lot of players, would have had reservations about joining the football club, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League and that. But Jadon Sancho, I think, again, would be the right calibre player for Manchester United. He's only 19 years of age. Obviously, he is primarily a right winger. Obviously, we do know he can play centrally, but he is primarily a right winger, is Jadon Sancho. And I do believe, he will blend in our attacking line really, really well, alongside Daniel James, Martial and, Marcus Rashford and that. I think he would be absolutely fantastic. But he is under contract, we do know, with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. We do know that, Jadon Sancho has served 2 years at Borussia Dortmund. He's now into his third season as a Borussia Dortmund player. He has, got big ambitions for the future, and these ambitions are to obviously, win titles with Borussia Dortmund and that. But he still doesn't know what his future holds. So actually, Jadon Sancho could leave Borussia Dortmund next summer. But he's really, really good player, can create chances, good at getting them runs in behind. I think he can also track back well. But we do know he's going to cost us a substantial amount. He's going to cost us around £100 million. It's also beneficial because Jadon Sancho has had experience of playing in the Premier League. Don't forget he served a couple of years with Manchester City. Never really got assured first team opportunities at Manchester City. So this is the main factor reason why I left City, of course, to join Borussia Dortmund. But he has been a fruition for Borussia Dortmund, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So I think they are two players Man United are set set to go in for next summer. And like I did say, Sean Longstaff's on our agenda. Don't forget we was in for Sean Longstaff from Newcastle earlier on in the summer. Don't forget, reportedly now Callum Wilson and Nathan Collins are also on our agenda. But I do believe we need to get at least maybe 2 or 3 more players into the squad. If we are to be future title contenders, or if we are to possibly win the league. Because Solskjaer did say earlier on this summer he wanted to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad. It was good that we did get that summer clear out. That we was demanding, because we did want that summer clear out, and quite a lot of players have now left. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I think 7 players have now left. Obviously, a couple of goalkeepers and that have been loaned out. So we know Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously, we do know that Chris Smalling left the football club as well. Actually, Italy has been a popular destination, for quite a lot of our players this summer. Obviously, we do know that Smalling, went out on loan, to Roma in Italy. Obviously, Smalling could possibly return back to the football club after the loan, because obviously there's no obligation to buy for Roma to make the deal permanent. Obviously, we know Darmian went to Italy, he went to Parma. Obviously, Sanchez, he went to Inter Milan on loan. Lukaku went to Inter Milan permanently. So obviously in that aspect, they've reunited together. So quite a few of our players, have gone to Italy in that. But the players that left that didn't go to Italy, obviously, was Ander Herrera. He went to PSG on a free transfer. Obviously, earlier on in the summer. Fellaini went to China, back in January after he served 6 years at the football club. Ander Herrera and Fellaini were 2 long-serving players at Man United. I think analysing the majority of Ander Herrera's career, I think he was mainly good at Manchester United. I think he had 5 successful years, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Analysing Fellaini's 6 years, he was mainly inconsistent. But it was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement anywhere for Ander Herrera and Marion Fellaini. Some people said, it was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because some people do believe now that, we are short of options in that attacking line, obviously following the dismissal of, Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez and that. But I think, we can't enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because obviously last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I think last season was the worst season, the worst season we had, since the David Moyes era, because, obviously we finished 7th under the David Moyes era. We finished 6th last season. So I think last season was the lowest we finished, since the David Moyes era. But it's very, very imperative that we do, get back into the Champions League, for this season. We've got to get qualification, into the Champions League without a shadow of a doubt. That's very, very important indeed. That's very, very important indeed. But yeah, like I did say, there is still a long way to go this season. But I think, despite, that a lot of players have left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still think there is problematic players at the football club, that, possibly need to be moved on in January or next summer. I think Phil Jones is one of the problematic players at the football club. Phil Jones did make his first appearance in Manchester United this season in the 1-0 win over FC Astana. Jones has been a long-serving player at the football club. This is now with Jones' 9th season at Manchester United. He's been here 8 years, and over the years we have seen glimpses of how good Phil Jones can be in that. But I think he's one of the problematic players at the football club, and for me needs to be moved on in January or next summer. Jones, don't forget, got a new long-term contract last season from the football club. Obviously Marcus Rojo, don't forget, he made his first appearance as well against FC Astana. He was playing him at that left back position, if I'm right, because I did say Rojo's versatility is good in that back line. He can play in various positions. He's primarily centre back, but he can also play as a left back and a wing back. Can Rojo, like he did initially say, though, he's fallen down the pecking order at Manchester United. And analysing the majority of his Man United career, he hasn't really been given the chances he would have liked. Obviously, he's sustained quite a few injuries as well as a Manchester United player. And don't forget, Rojo was subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation, throughout the course of the summer. Don't forget, Everton inquired about getting him on deadline day. I think the likes of Marcel and Monaco and AC Milan also inquired about getting, Marcus Rojo. He's just got under 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United. But I think we need to consider either getting rid of him in January or next summer. But actually, Solskjaer said, whilst the European transfer window is open, that, Rojo will be definitely staying at the football club. And I think he's now, 29 years of age, is he? In regards to Ashley Young now, we do know he's featured in the last 3 games. Last Young, started 2 of the games. Obviously, came on in the game against FC Emastani as a substitute. That was a substitute appearance. But I think, this probably will be his last season as a Manchester United player. And you can say he's past his sell-by date, Ashley Young. Obviously, that's reflecting on his age, basically, because he's, 34. I think is he 35 late this year, or is it next year? He's 35, if I'm right. But yeah, over the years, he has been a good servant, to the football club. Young's now been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. He has made over 300 appearances in all competitions and that. We know that Young was our first choice right back last season, don't forget. But obviously, since the arrival of Wan-Bissaka has been our first choice right back. But they are, in that aspect, they are compatible. Ashley Young and Wan-Bissaka, because don't forget, the duo were both primarily right wingers when they were younger. But as they was both developing, don't forget, they got rotated as right backs. Young did, obviously, and Wan-Bissaka as well, don't forget. Young can also play on the left-hand side as well. He can also play as a right winger like he has done, during his tenure quite a few times there with Man United. But I think he's, obviously past his sell-by date. Obviously, giving the news recently in regards to Nemanja Matic, didn't I? Obviously, it said, I think it was early on this week, that, that he was attracting interest from 4 clubs, was Nemanja Matic. So it said reportedly Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and, Borussia Dortmund were interested. So in that aspect, there's a host of Italian clubs that are interested in him. So there's 3 Italian clubs that are in for him. There's also a German club, which is obviously, Borussia Dortmund there, that are in for him. But obviously, they're intending on, getting him on a free transfer at the end of the season, because that's obviously when Nemanja Matic's current contract, does expire with Manchester United. But we do actually have an option, to extend it by a further year. But for me, I don't think Nemanja Matic has a long-term future at Manchester United, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, he's now into his third season as a Manchester United player. He's Nemanja Matic, and I think he's given his overarching view on what he thinks so far this season. I think he's infuriated, the lack of game time he's been getting this season. Matic has actually started the last 2 games in all competitions. Started the game against FC Astana. He also started the game against Leicester, but that's obviously not only due to Paul Pogba's absence, but he's infuriated with lack of game time. That he's getting, because I think he's initially lost his place in the team. To Scott McTominay, whereas Nemanja Matic, and I think Matic praised Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with his trustworthy and that in the young upcoming players. But Matic, like I said, he's too inconsistent, he's too slow, he does make that midfield, look totally imbalanced. And obviously he has made 89, I think he's made about 89 or is it 90 appearances now for the club in all competitions. And as Nemanja Matic, we paid around £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2017. Obviously this was back under the Jose Mourinho Moreira, and obviously at the time we did get him, obviously he wasn't our first choice anyway. It was like our third choice signing was Matic, so that was bad business in that aspect. And he's now aging up, he's 31 years of age, so he's not, getting any younger. But I did say the likes of Fred, Pereira, Angel Gomez and McTominay, I think every one of them are much better solutions than Nemanja Matic and that, But, Juventus are obviously, they've been known for getting players on free transfers in recent years. Obviously, they did it with Emre Can. I can't remember when it was. It must have been recently. They did it with, obviously, with Adrian Rabiot and Aaron Ramsey this summer. And I think, Matic moving on from Manchester United, would be beneficial for the club and him himself. And I think, if I had to choose out of them teams, I'd probably, pick Juventus, definitely. He's probably guaranteed more success at Juventus than he is AC Milan, Inter Milan, or, Borussia Dortmund. If he was to go to Inter Milan, Nemanja Matic obviously would be reuniting with Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku and that. There's a possibility chance we could try and cash in for Matic in January rather than letting go on a free transfer at the end of the season. But for me, he is one of the problematic players at the football club. My overarching view on Fred is I think Fred's done well in the last 2 games. He obviously started the game against FC Astana. I thought he did really, really well. I thought he did well when he came on as a substitute against Leicester, did Fred. And I still don't know if he's the long-term solution for Man United. So in that aspect, I have got an element of concerns about that. But he has done well in the last couple of games. I thought he also did really, really well towards the back end of last season. Don't forget, we paid just under £50 million for him from Shakhtar Donetsk last summer. So he's been only been at the club, since last summer. But like I did say, we've got to be more competitive in January. Also, possibly we've got to be more competitive next summer, because in the recent windows, we just haven't been competitive enough. We didn't do good enough, business this summer. We didn't do enough good enough business this summer. But prior to this summer, we didn't get anyone in January this year. We didn't get anyone, obviously, we didn't get our number one targets last summer back under the Jose Mourinho era, because obviously, the board weren't back in the signings at the time that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend in. And Solskjaer was talking about our recruiting policy earlier on in the summer, and he says, our recruiting policy, well, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. Quite a few people said at the start of the summer, we should be sensible with our recruitment. I heard, quite a few people, saying that. But, like I said, analysing it, the majority of this squad is not only against Solskjaer's. Don't forget, Solskjaer's still inheriting he's inheriting 9 of Jose Mourinho's players now, because 2 have obviously left. But, he's inheriting, 9 of Jose Mourinho's players. There's still players even the Louis van Gaal era he's inheriting. Still, there's still, I think, Matty from the David Moyes era he's inheriting. And there's still players even the Alex Ferguson era, of course. He's currently inheriting and that, and a lot of money has been spent at the football club. I think over £140 million spent this summer, just under £400 million spent under Mourinho. Over £200 million spent under Van Gaal, around £60 million spent under David Moyes. So I think we've spent nearly around £900 million in the last 6 or 7 years on players. If you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, it's way over £1 billion that the football club has been spent. We spent way over £1 billion and that. And if you want to also include the wages in that, because obviously we've got players on big contracts, it's way over £1 billion. So we do know that we should be much more of a better position, than we're in now. But it just proves always spending big on players and getting them Glasgow players, doesn't always guarantee you success, and that's been proven with the football club in the last 6 or 7 years. My overarching view on Paul Pogba is that, I'll give you the recent news in regards to Paul Pogba. Like I did say, with John from the France squad a couple of weeks ago, obviously, with an ankle injury. And Paul Scholes has recently, come out and, he's spoken about Paul Pogba and that, and what he thinks about him and that, and he thinks Manchester United losing Paul Pogba wouldn't be a big loss to the football club, because he thinks reportedly Paul Pogba is a disposal, and he believes there's other players in the team, the Scholes, that can perform to Paul Pogba's standards, and this is obviously Paul Scholes' overarching view on it. Now reportedly we still want him to remain at the football club, for the long term, wanting to remain at the football club. Now reportedly we are going to try and convince him, to renew his contract term at Manchester United, because obviously we do know that Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, I think, has been in negotiations with the football club. Regarding Paul Pogba's future, and obviously, over the possibility of renewing his contract. Don't forget, Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract at Manchester United, with an option, to extend it by a further year. And we do know that Pogba is on £290,000 a week, so in that aspect, he is one of the highest paid players at the football club. Now, we do know there was quite a lot of teams in for him, throughout the course of the summer, but we do know for the entirety of the summer, he was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation, and obviously he was relentlessly linked to move to Real Madrid. But I did say, reflecting on the substantial amount, we did put on Paul Pogba, because we did say, we wanted around £180 million for Paul Pogba. Obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay that, and I think we are willing to stick to our valuation in January. If we are to soften our stance on Paul Pogba, so I do believe we want somewhere in the region of around 179 or 180 million pounds for Paul Pogba in January. Whether Real Madrid are willing to pay that or not, I do not know. Don't forget, Real Madrid spent a substantial amount throughout the course of the summer. They spent around £300 million on 5 players. They did manage to sell some players, so obviously they did get they did generate some of the money back. But Zinedine Zidane obviously identified Paul Pogba as his number one priority target, and obviously he'll be frustrated in the aspect that he missed out on his number one priority target. But definitely, more than likely, Real Madrid will reignite their interest in January. Don't forget, Christian Eriksen was also on Real Madrid's agenda, but obviously Real Madrid's preference obviously was Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen. But I still believe that Paul Pogba in January or next summer, is going to leave the football club without a shadow of a doubt. But Solskjaer knows deep down of how much of an imperative player that Paul Pogba is, because we have seen Paul Pogba, at his best as a Manchester United player. And you mainly see the best of Paul Pogba, when he's freed up, and that's when you mainly do see the best of him. But it wasn't only Real Madrid, in for him throughout the course of summer. Don't forget, Barcelona were in for him. Paul Pogba's brother fueled quite a bit of speculation throughout the course of summer, and quite recently, he actually said that, Paul Pogba had spoken to Lionel Messi the other week, from Barcelona and all that. I think also it allegedly said that he'd agreed a deadline day move to PSG, and he reportedly agreed around the £429,000 a week deal, but his move to PSG allegedly never materialised, due to the Neymar saga. But yeah, there was quite a few teams in for him. Don't forget there was talks about him making a return back to Turin, because don't forget Pogba did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus, hasn't mainly replicated this form at Manchester United. So yeah, there was quite a lot of teams in for him, but I did say it hadn't only been this summer he's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, there was a lot of talks about him, leaving the football club. Obviously, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, and obviously Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho departed the football club. But Paul Pogba said earlier on this summer, he confirmed he wanted to leave Manchester United. I think he said it back in June, and he actually, publicly, admitted, that he did want to leave the football club. And he did give you the reasons why he probably wants to leave, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, maybe he wants to be in Champions League football and that, and maybe he's frustrated with the lack of competitiveness at the football club. And Paul Pogba's 26 years of age, he has still got a hell of a lot of development in him, and he's now into his 4th season at the football club since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. He's won the Europa League and the League Cup with us. Obviously that came in his 2nd season with Manchester United. But I still believe, he definitely, still wants to leave the football club. But it's good for now that he's remaining at the football club. Is Paul Pogba. Very, very happy about that. Very, very happy about that, indeed. We do know that good news, came out. We do know that good news, came out earlier on this week. With in regards, to Victor Lindelof, as I did give you the news. Obviously, we do know he signed a new long-term contract with Manchester United as Lindelof. Obviously, he's confirmed he signed a 5-year deal with an option of a further year, so it does take him under contract with the football club until 2024. Then we've got an option to extend it by a further year that would take him under contract with the football club until 2025 and that. So yeah, very, very happy about that news, because I think Victor Lindelof's had a pretty okay start this season. He hasn't been the best player in that. I think he was a bit below par, before the Leicester game. He was a bit poor. He was poor in the Palace game early on the season. He was poor against Southampton, but I thought he stepped up against Leicester in that. Victor Lindelof, he's really, really good. I think he's flourishing at Manchester United. He's now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player, and so far, like I said, he has blended in alongside, Harry Maguire, fantastically well. He is only 25 years of age as Lindelof. Obviously, Lindelof, did struggle with consistency in his 1st season, didn't, really settle in and that, but I thought there was vast improvements in his 2nd season, and mainly so far this season, he's replicated what he did in his 2nd season. So, for me, he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. These question marks around him, can he keep the consistency up? And I do believe, Lindelof, can he keep the consistency up? But yeah, he has made 74 appearances for the club in all competitions since his arrival from Benfica back in 2017, because we paid just over £30 million for the player. So I'm glad he signed a new long-term contract. So he obviously has committed his future at Manchester United. He committed his future at Man United, and he's actually the 2nd player this week to commit his future at Manchester United. Don't forget, De Gea signed a new long-term contract on Monday, which was obviously, earlier on this week, which I'm very, very happy about. David De Gea did sign a 4-year contract, with an option of a 5th year. Obviously, he's now the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, and he's the highest paid at the football club, because De Gea is on from between 350 to 375 grand a week and that. But yeah, very, very happy about that indeed. And like I did say, we have sorted the contract renewals out now. Obviously, we've got quite a few players, now new contracts, that were currently in their last years of their deals. We've just done it recently with David De Gea. We did it with Martial back in January. Obviously, we did it with Rashford earlier on in the summer. Obviously, we did it with Juan Mata and that earlier on in the summer. Obviously, we got, Jones a new long-term contract last season. Well, I was disappointed about that. Young signed a new 1-year extension last season. I think McTominay signed a new long-term contract last season with the club. So yeah, we've got players, quite a few contracts now, to be quite honest here. But yeah, glad De Gea anyway, he's staying at the football club. But like I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, definitely needs more time, to make a further more investment. And like I did say, one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was a great player for Manchester United. Like I said, in obviously one of his most iconic moments, obviously, was over 20 years ago, back in 1999. Of course, when he won the club the treble, that's obviously not our greatest achievement. And that, we're the most successful club in in England. Historically, won 13 Premier League, 7 all first division, so we've won 20 titles, all in all, and that. Obviously, 1999 is the club's greatest achievement, but we've done other achievements as well. Don't forget 20 titles, like I've just said. Obviously, we won 3 back-to-back titles, back in 07, 08, and 09. But yeah, we are still one of the biggest clubs in the world, don't forget. But like I did say, we're not the same team, as we was under Alex Ferguson and that. But yeah, give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time, if we get a couple of players in January and maybe next summer and we're still, not being competitive enough, then, then I probably would, demand Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, to be quite honest with you. That probably would demand him out of the football club, to be quite honest with you. But nothing much really more to say, to be quite honest with you. This is actually, your West Ham, versus Man United preview. Also, I might come up with a video soon. I'll give you my starting 11 prediction on the game. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.